I'm going to run through the process I use on Poshmark to upload my new bulk listings into my Poshmark store as a Posh Ambassador. So from my closet, I go into the bulk upload tool. From here, you have the option to upload photos, three different template types, either photos on your computer, photos in an online cloud, or a quick edit version. I use photos in an online cloud, which allows me to create drafts of each of my listings without attaching any photos. If I was going to do photos on my computer, I would need to create a zip file for all those photos and upload that alongside it. So this is the one that I use. You can download that template here. I have revised and modified that template in a few different ways to arrive at this template that I use for my process today. You don't have to keep the columns in the same order with the template. You can reorder them. I've done that. Actually have some more refining to do with that piece of it. I've also added several filters in here and different tools to help me be more streamlined in my work. So one of the things that I do when I come in here, and if I were looking at this at a purely blank state, is I just go ahead and start with my photos and another tab and take a look at all of the SKU numbers that I'm using for those listings that I'm planning to upload. So I'll find the first one and I'll find the last, and I'll take the SKU number for the first and the last, and I'll include all the SKUs throughout this spreadsheet. So that's step one. I then go in and set the department as either women, men, or kids for all of those items, and then begin to fill in all of the details. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at one of those that I've started here. We have several Vineyard Vines on the go shirts included in this batch. I have them all numbered with the SKU from the photo. They're all listed as men. They're all listed as shirts. For men, the category is shirts. For women, it's tops. That is one challenge with this particular spreadsheet. You've got to make sure you selected the correct category, the correct subcategory. Things like straight leg in pants is different for women than it is for jean or for in the men's department. So you want to make sure that you're aligning, especially that subcategory, with the correct category, with the correct department, making sure that all that's correct, make sure you're spelling the brand correctly, etc. So those are all pieces that I've already completed on here. Next steps as I'm working through this is to find the next item and go ahead and start to fill in those details. So I've already done this skies are blue, I've done this James Pierce piece. And so as I'm working down and I get to the end of those measurements and see there's my confirmation that 758, that's the right standard Pierce. So there we go. Moving on to 759 is these hiking pants. Then we get into measurements for those, and then we have these dress shirts. Oh, so these are casual button-down shirts for men. So that's these. So my steps as I'm looking through this, make sure that I have the label correct. So this is On the Go Performance Vineyard Vines. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I include those keywords in my line item stuff over here. I've added that size in there to medium. This one's pink. I move over to my item name. So this is On the Go OTG Performance Casual Button-Down Shirt. And then I add in additional keywords. Now, what I've created in this table is a series of formulas that pull together the different elements. So this pulls in the brand name from column D, it pulls in the item name from column AT, pulls in the size from column G, and it pulls in the keywords, if I include any, from column AU. So that's what I'm working on over here, is that item name, description, the keywords. So this is pink gingham print, but other than that, it's basically a long sleeve performance wear button down shirt. So I can include all of those details again in the description. So here I've got this on the go, and I'm going to spell it out here. Performance casual button-down shirt in pink gingham. And there's not a whole lot else to say about these shirts, except for that they are this keeping you cooler, so burr proven to keep you cooler. I might include some of that. And then we're pretty much at the end of details as far as the shirt goes. I have a spot here for measurements, for fabric content, for care instructions, and for flaws. So these all pull in and get populated into my description and into the formula for that description. So this is 57% cotton, 36% burr nylon, which is trademarked. So I might just stick with nylon, and 5% spandex. Quick visual, does that add up to the right number? I think I need 57, 36, 5, 7, and 6 is a 13, so somewhere we're off here. So it's probably going to be 38. There we go. Now our care instructions are machine wash. Flaws. My teens are doing all of the photos for these, and they do measurement photos as well. So this is stretch, it's wicking. Those are both good keywords to throw in here. So I'm going to put those in my keywords section. And cooling. Oh my goodness. All the best stuff. And no photos of issues. So that's great news. Measurements here. Chest is 19, so 38. Looks like they measured it twice just to be sure. Length 27. We're testing out measuring these things this way, so we're kind of exploring to see if this is going to work for us. And sleeve length is 25, and that should bring us to all the measurements, and we're on to the next one. So there were no flaws noted, so I'm going to go ahead and include that in here. Now, what happens when I put all of those details in is it pulls it into the title, it pulls it into the description, it's going to be automatically loaded. So here I'm noticing that this is red because it's too long. So I'm going to have to go in and remove a few keywords from somewhere in this item name or in the keywords here. So pink gingham stretch, wicking cooling, on the go performance casual button down short shirt. Maybe I'll drop the word casual and see if that takes us where we need to go for, oh, we're still a little long. I might drop the pink since that should show up. There's not any, it's not a special kind of pink. So I don't think anybody's going to search for pink gingham, and if they do, they'll use the sidebar. On the go performance button down shirt, gingham stretch wicking cooling. I'm inclined to drop gingham from this bunch. It'll still pull from the description, so I do have gingham in there, so that's fine. And now we're back under our limit here. The last piece that I need to add in order to finalize this is a listing price. So what I like to do is take my title from here and use this tool called SellHound to search, and I'll drop some of these extra keywords on here. This is a little more for showing up in search, but less for broad searches when establishing market prices. So SellHound pulls in results from Poshmark, from Grailed, from eBay, and it's showing me these results for Posh. And we've got an average price of $49, average sold price of $29. So we're looking at probably about 30. New with tag. So it looks like without new with tag, we're looking at about 50 is the highest that's sold. And then as far as the lowest that's available, we're scrolling down here. Looks like we're pretty even on solds and available still. We do have some that are available listed as plaid. I'm going to discount those. This is a 2X. So we are seeing a few that should be these performance long sleeve button downs in the 20-25 range. So that means that there's a lot of these available for that price and people aren't snatching them up. So that leads me to think that my market price does need to be closer to 20-25 as opposed to some of these high 50s. Now I will say that these gingham ones are showing up well, so I might add gingham into my search here and just see if that impacts those prices that are showing up. Yeah, so now we're looking at 59 for current, 40 for sold, which is a little better. Skipping past the new tag again, we've still got 50, 48, 45, which makes sense. And then on available, I don't mind discarding the lowest, but then we are in 25, 35, 50. And this does not look like a true gingham, but it might just be, well, this is a boy's size, so we can discount that one. So we're looking at 35 or 40. So this one's 50 with new. So we're probably going to price at 35, given that all these that are available higher are new with tags. So we'll go 35. And I'm probably going to keep that same price for all of these since we have several that are similar, just different colors. So next up we have a vineyard vines in a slightly different color. So as I complete each row, it changes to ready as soon as those are all filled out. And I did highlight them in pink so that if they are required and they're not filled out yet, they do show up as pink for me. So that helps a lot. So next we've got the next item on our list, which is same shirt, but in a blue color. Looks like we've got the same size, we've got the same keywords, we've got the same fabric content, care instructions, etc. Only thing I'm going to make sure that I double check is those measurements and make sure that those are the same. But we're looking pretty good here to use those details again on the next row. So now we're looking at a blue shirt. And we'll use the same item name, description, etc. for this one. And checking our measurements here. So we are at still looking like 38 to me. One thing I'm not sure about is whether we're going to continue to include the measurements when we are providing photos with the measurements. And we'll see. That may be a step we won't need in the future going forward. So, and this is the same as well. So there are no flaws noted again. So we'll go ahead and copy that to the next row down. And then we have the same thing again in a slightly darker blue. So we picked up a stack of these and looks like all of our fabric content care instructions again are the same. We'll just be checking that the measurements are consistent. So checking that's the same. And then I have another one down here. So I'm just going to go ahead and move that down there already. It's slightly different. We're 20, 20 and a half, so we're 40 on measurements here. 25. And then that other one must have been the sleeve length. Well, that's the length. 24 and a half. And then, so our name and description is going to stay the same, unless we have colors highlighted in some of that, but yeah, we have it in the description. So I want to make sure that this is light blue, and this is a medium blue. but everything else should stay the same. So including our pricing. And then we've got one more. We'll skip this Eileen Fisher for now. It does have a flaw. And this one is purple. And go ahead and fill out our same item name description. Update this to purple. We could say lavender, especially if we think that people are likely to search for that particular shade of purple. Fabric content care instructions are all the same. Details are the same. Now we just need to check our measurements for this, which looks like we skipped doing. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that blank. So everything else should have pulled in, and now these are all marked as ready. So if I look at the way this spreadsheet looks now, I have several listings that are ready to go. And I have this table set so that if they're marked ready, they copy into here so that I can very easily just go ahead and download to CSV, pop over to create listings in Poshmark, select photos in an online cloud, which creates drafts rather than needing to upload those specifically. Grab my file and hit upload. So while that's processing, got to make sure that brand names are spelled correctly because there's nothing checking it except for your previous listings and within the table. And if you spelled Eddie Bauer incorrectly before, you're probably going to continue to spell Eddie Bauer correctly. So that's been an issue that I've had to go back and update my past listings on. Also sizing. So in particular, 2XL needs to be listed as 2X or XXL. And then for children's sizing, you need to include in parentheses whether it's boy or girl. So those are just some things that are a little tough to keep track of and make sure that they're perfectly correct in here because there's not a system that checks that for you. Also making sure that your subcategory aligns with your category, aligns with your department, given that things like women's, they're listed as tops, but in men, they're listed as shirts. And then you have things where you've got straight leg, but or just straight for different categories, different departments. So, and then you've got your boot cut could be listed as boot cut, or boot cut and flare. So depending on which gender, department, and which category you're looking at. So watch out for all of those things. But other than that, you're just uploading and creating the listings. When I'm finished, I go in through and I check off the ones that are correctly imported in my Poshmark. So once this finishes loading, if I have 0 errors, which is typically the state that I end up in, I just go ahead and mark all those as imported. If for some reason there are a couple that did error out, then I go through and make sure that I've marked all of the ones that imported successfully, and I'll change this to imported here. And then I will go in and modify the ones that did not update correctly. It's almost always because of an issue with category or subcategory, or potentially something's missing in a required field, something would be red. And then go back and correct those. And then this tab here updates with, when you mark it as imported, it removes it from this ready tab. And then as soon as you make changes on any of your ready items, it puts them in there. So it updates as you go. And in the end, you should end up with a bunch of built out listings that are just ready and waiting for photos to be uploaded. So that's my process for using bulk upload to upload listings to Poshmark.